And we are live, I guess. Hello, everyone. I'm William today, and welcome to today's episode of Everything Outside Code. And today I have a wonderful guest, an engineer, founder that's building a really cool product. And as usual, we're going to be having as much fun as possible talking about everything outside software engineering. A lot of folks see it as the boring stuff, but we think it's the really important stuff if you're trying to build a business, get some money, and not be homeless. You know, do actually actually meaningful stuff. So I'm going to leave it up to my guest to introduce herself, and then we just take it from there.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, definitely. Thank you for inviting me, and it's been nice talking to you a little bit before
Yeah,
the stream. But yeah, definitely.
yeah,
My name is Hosna. I am a software developer. I've been a developer for the last few years now. The last year or so, I've transitioned more towards software development. Before, my emphasis was in hardware. I have a degree in computer engineering that I got in the end of 2019. So I had a couple jobs, more hardware focused, but now I'm trying to do more software and build products and projects. I started out building side projects, but now I want to try to monetize it somehow, and
yeah.
that's where I think you mentioned earlier, or you didn't yet, but working on a product called a Project Planner AI, as well as another project called Tech Stack Finder, which we can talk about in a little bit. But yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you very much, Hosna, for coming on the stream. I just wanted to say before we kick things off, if anyone has questions, you could just throw them in the comments and we would answer them. Or you could just leave a shout out and we would shout out right back at you. And if you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe button while you're at it before you disappear. So thank you very much, Hosna. You mentioned engineering, going from hardware engineering to software, and now trying to sell the software. On software engineering, right? How does that look like for you? Like what's that like? What's your day to day like as a software engineer?
Yeah, well, right now so I'm just focusing on side projects. So I'm working also with another content creator. His name is Web Dev Cody. So we started collaborating towards the end of last year. I post my side projects on X, and that's how I've been trying to engage more with the community, network, meet people, try to figure out what problems people are having, and mainly focus on that. And then once I have an idea, just start thinking about features and how the UI would look like. And then so the day to day, it varies to answer the question,
Yeah,
definitely. But I think before do anything, just write down what I want to, at least what is realistically possible to get done in the day. Like today, I think there are a
hmm,
couple work items or task items that we wanted to finish for Project Planner AI, like adding features such as like improving specific sections, like our messaging. We added messaging to the platform. So how to
yeah,
improve that, like what are some weaknesses, us using the actual product and seeing areas that need improvement and who's going to work on it and stuff.
yeah.
So that's just an example.
Huh.
But I think with software, the cool thing about it is that it's always changing. There's always things that can be updated. I don't think there's ever such a thing as a done finished product. Oh, I'm never going to take a look
Yeah,
at it again, right? Because users
yeah.
expect things to, if they're having problems, issues, they let you know. And I think it's your
Hmm.
duty to keep them, right, to keep them loyal to your products, to listen to them. So trying to get that feedback and keep working on building a product that everybody enjoys and is useful in the end of the day.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. So thinking about Project Planner, right? Could you put a link in the comments somewhere so folks could check it out?
Yeah, definitely. I'll do
Uh,
that right now.
yeah.
Yeah, so that is,
Uh,
yeah, Project Planner AI is the platform. So initially, um, so the overall how it got started, if you don't
yeah,
mind me sharing, um,
yeah.
The idea is that I think there's a common issue amongst like developer community, that people start side projects but never finish them, or don't know how to monetize them, or don't know how to promote them, or know where to start, in
Yeah,
terms of adding features and whatnot. So I think me and Cody started trying to brainstorm. Like, there's so many problems when it comes to this issue of like, okay, how can we help someone finish their side project? And we had a lot of different ideas, but I think the one that we stuck with initially for our MVP is like trying to create like a AI wrapper, that all we would need from the user is their idea and their target user, and we let AI generate like a generic, or not generic, but a plan specifically for their idea. So let's say our example that we have is a app that helps me track recipes, and the target user is like a stay-at-home mom. Then once the user inputs that information, it gives them a outline. Okay, these are some possible names that you could call it. This is some possible icons that you can use. And it takes like less than like a few minutes to do that, rather than them taking the time to do research and try to figure it out. And also it provides like competitors that are in that market that maybe already exist, so you could take a look at what they're doing, and stuff like
yeah.
that. And yeah, when we launched it, we got a couple users or people that signed up, like over 500, and then we got like
Wow.
about 40 50 paying customers so far. It's like a one-time payment, like you're paying for the credits that
Yeah,
we use the AI, the API to generate it. But now we're trying to pivot more towards a like project management platform, that isn't annoying like all these other project management
yeah,
platforms that are just so tedious and complex. And it's very general for like a general project. But this is like, we want to niche it down more towards just developers, the people who are trying to build web applications or mobile applications and whatnot.
yeah.
So we are pivoting. We've only been working on it for the last like 2 months. Um, and before
So,
that, like I said, I was working on other side projects
yeah.
that
Hmm.
it's an issue that I face. Like it's hard for me to finish side projects, and I think
Yeah,
definitely collaborating with another person has definitely like motivated me more. And then we have like common goals, and it's like we're pushing each other. I think it's really hard to finish something in a silo when you're doing it by yourself. So that's been a
yeah,
really big game changer.
yeah. I think Project Planner is cool because I signed up, I paid, and I, you know, tried it out. And I think using
Yay!
the tool that qualifies the idea and gives you like competitors. I saw like competitors for the idea. I mean, it's an idea I already have and I'm working on. So it was just nice to see
Oh,
what else what else is out there, and what blockers or stuff I should be looking at. So I think it's a really cool project. Anyone out there thinking about starting something, you should definitely give it a try. I'm curious, right? How the pivot happened, right? So you started with, okay, we want to take your idea, help you qualify this idea and see if it's great or not, and then and then you got users, you got customers, which is better than 99% of like indie hackers and solopreneurs. So there are customers and folks paying for it, and you decide to switch to a project management tool, and tons of project management tools. Why that, like, decision? Like, why switch? You say like something. Did you see something in the market? I mean, it's okay if you can't share. You could, but did you see something in the market that said, "Hey, there's an opportunity here, we could solve."
yeah. Um, I think the main reason for the pivot was, so with the initial MVP, right? We got users, but then we realized it was more of a like a one-time thing. They would come and try it, and then
Mhm.
there wouldn't really be a reason for them to come back, because we didn't have features to let them update or edit anything that was in the plan. It was just a static plan that was generated for them,
Yeah.
that was there. How often would they visit it? And then
Mm.
also asking ourselves the question, are we using the product enough? Because we are also the target users. And in reality, we weren't. So it's seeing what's working and what isn't working, and just trying something different and see if that works. Because if you just stay in the same place and expect something to change, it
Yeah.
might not necessarily will. Maybe it was a marketing issue. Maybe we weren't marketing it enough. we're using mainly his platform and our platforms on Twitter and X. There's a
Hmm.
lot of like different learning curves, right? Like as a
Yeah.
developer, you only have one skill set, right? Not only one skill set, but the major one is, I think for us, is like we're really passionate about technical aspects of it. Like how
Hmm.
is it, what tech stack are we going to use? Are we going to make sure that it's scalable eventually? Are we who's going to work on what features to build out, right? And whereas there's this whole other world of like marketing and all,
Yeah.
constantly talking about it and looking at analytics and determining what that means and what we need to improve on the platform to increase that analytics,
Yeah.
increase the engagement and the conversion rates and whatnot. So for us, for me personally, it's just been a very big learning curve, and I think the only way
Yeah.
to learn is to just throw yourself in it. If you just wait and wait and wait and be like, oh, I'm gonna wait until I'm ready, or let me do some more research, then you're never gonna like really know until you actually apply it.
Yeah.
So we did it, and it's working a little bit. So just keep, I think, slowly building upon that,
Yeah.
on those steps.
Yeah. And specifically, how do you juggle engineering and these marketing bits? So is it like a 60-40 split? Do you do it just by yourself, or does Cody do that as well, or you do that together? How do you manage that specifically?
Yeah, to be completely honest, we're sort of like winging it. I can't really give
Yeah.
you like a percentage. It's
Okay.
more so, okay, we add these major features. Let's do a post on it, or let's do a post on it every few days. Making sure
Hmm.
that we're constantly uh, just not like consistently or every so often posting new things that we've been making changes to it or adding to it. I know Cody has been like making uh, like guided tutorials, walking through like the specific things that if someone wants to implement in their own application, this is how we did it in ours.
Yeah.
Because his content is more towards like tutorials or tutorials and him walking through like what he's experienced and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think he has a big audience too, so that's helpful in terms of organic adoption and people supporting him and also supporting us. So that's been
Hmm.
extremely helpful. If when you already have that audience, that is your
Yeah.
target audience. And then also,
Oh,
like, yeah, for us, also Twitter, I think is a big way, just making sure that the content is digestible. I think phrasing things that people might be interested in. What is something that would get them hooked? What is a problem that they have? That, okay, I have the solution for you, and then here's what it looks like. I think actually showing a video demo of what you built is really
yeah.
useful, because if
Oh,
it's words are one thing, like visuals are another thing. It really like pulls people in, from my experience and me personally, is how I
yeah.
feel on why like I
Ah,
click something or not.
yeah. So you've had a lot of success with posting stuff on Twitter. There's usually this argument with posting stuff that's generally educational and posting stuff about what you're building or what you're working on. Have you seen one form working over the other, or you just like mix and match and see what works? Do people want to learn something about Next.js, right? Or they
Yeah.
want to learn about a new feature you've implemented on Project Planner? Which of them usually have like the better engagement rates?
That's a great question. I think the latter, the new well, it depends on how the content is presented. But I think
Yeah.
definitely the latter is more useful because it reaches a wider audience and it's something that someone can try. Whereas with the like a tutorial or something, might not everybody might not be interested in implementing it. There's
Hmm.
a different audience for that. If only maybe Next.js developers would watch that, not necessarily like Remix or whoever would be interested in it. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, like I said, I think it just depends on if it's for a tutorial, if it's like a really cool feature that looks nice that everybody
Yeah.
might want to try do it themselves maybe. But
Yeah.
I know in terms of the indie hacker world, what I see that pops off sometimes is like people sharing their like MRRs for the month and like those graphs and talking about their personal story on how they found success with their side project is what people I think is
Hmm.
finding content that is relatable to people is really good
Mhm.
as well as what people engage with and leave comments. I notice a lot of people leave comments when people see stories like that. I think like being a really good storyteller is very important as well. And I made a
Oh,
post about that, like how underrated it is, like writing, the capability of like
yeah,
captivating someone with writing, um, and storytelling is really important.
yeah,
Which is a skill that I lack because I was
yeah,
never a big. I was more of like the
yeah.
math and sciences, not really like the English and the writing but that's a skill that I've been trying to improve on and learn from others and see what
How?
works for them.
Yeah, I was going to ask how are you improving on this? Because I'm sure a lot of people lack that skill as well. And in the times we're in, it's like one of the top three skills anyone should have. If not the top skill anyone should have right now is storytelling. So how have you like tried to, you know, upskill in the area of storytelling?
I'm still working on it. I'm not perfect, but definitely there are a couple resources. There's a really good resource. I can't think of it at the top of my. I know it was like storytelling, and there was someone that did a great talk. I think it was like a Google talk. I don't know if you're familiar. Google like
Yeah.
invite people like specialists to talk about specific things, and she
Huh.
wrote a book on storytelling or like data and storytelling, how to make boring graphs more digestible and presentations more
Hmm.
digestible so people understand it better. So that's one example. But I think the only way for you to get better at it is do it. Like practice writing, see what
Yeah.
works, and don't be scared if people don't
Yeah.
engage with it right away. You just know, like, be patient. It takes time. See what other people are doing
Yeah.
it. Try their don't copy it, but just try there's like your own style of what they did,
Yeah.
try different things. If it's something's not working, yeah, don't be afraid to change it up. I
Yeah.
think, yeah,
I
make it
totally agree with
personal.
you. Yeah, I totally agree with you. In the past, I think I've been pretty okay with talking and like speaking, but putting those in words on on a website or putting it in a tweet, that's something I've had to like consciously refine over time and
Yeah,
see what works. And I listen to podcasts, and I listen to my first million podcast, and I think
yeah, yeah.
almost all indie hackers and solopreneurs listen to Sean and I forget this other guy's name,
Like,
but yeah,
yeah.
Sean and his partner. We all listen to them, and one of the things to mention on one stream was collecting words. Right, so I started collecting great copy as well from anywhere. I have this note where it's like I hear or I see this copy somewhere, and it's like this is just really good. I hope one day to be able to come up with such copy. And from collecting that copy and looking over them, it's like gems I found on the internet or somewhere. I feel like my copywriting got better, right? From recognizing what great quality looks like,
Mhm.
and then using some of them, borrowing some of them, right? Um, and then now when I write something and it has great copy, I look at it and I smile. I'm like, yeah, I think this was really good.
Yeah.
um yeah, I see a lot of content on Twitter. So you'd mentioned starting with like starting or promoting Project Planner on Twitter and getting like the first 500 users and a couple of customers as well. Was there a process to that, or did you like wake up one morning and like, hey, we made this thing, here it is, you want like check it out, sign up if you want, buy credits? Or did you like pre-plan it all, have like a product hunt launch, reach out to folks on Twitter? How did all that work? Because I'm sure a lot of people want to know how they could get, even if it's 10 users. I know folks that have no users except themselves. So it'd be nice to
Yeah.
learn how you did that.
Yeah, so we didn't really have like a set any like metrics or anything that we were trying to reach. It was more so okay, let's spend a month trying to build a decent looking product. This is a problem that we were trying to solve. And it is the product that we're trying to make, are you able to explain it in one sentence, right? I know a lot of products that people try to make, they're trying to do a lot of things what inside the product, and if you ask them, oh, can you tell me what it is simply in one sentence, they're not able to, they struggle. So I think it's very important just to have a focus. Start with, I know a lot of indie hackers say just start with one simple thing that you could do really well. One feature,
Yeah.
one solution that you can have that um solves a problem, and that and like, I know a lot of people say you need to build fast, and that's important, build fast and break fast. But also you have to keep in mind you're you want to make sure that the user has a good experience. So if you promise them something, you have to give it to them. If you say, okay, if you try our platform and this is what you're going to get, and they try it and it breaks, you have to keep in mind, okay, they might not have a good first impression. So first impressions like really important, um as well as in terms of marketing. I would say before you start marketing, or make sure that the product is at some decent state, that the user is able to log in. It will redirect them to like a dashboard if they want to purchase something. Make sure that like you test it yourself to however much you can. And then if it works for you, then okay,
Yeah.
yeah, start marketing it, seeing if people engage with it. If they're not, maybe you need to change the wording. Maybe you need to change what it looks like. Maybe like try your best to get feedback. If someone's saying, "Oh, this sucks," you message them. Don't let
Yeah.
your ego get hurt. Be like, "Okay, oh, well, what can we add to make it not suck or make it better?"
Yeah.
So it's just having an open mind, having like a growth mindset. Don't take things personally. Patience. I know these are all very like cliche and generic things. But
Yeah.
for us, like we are not on product hunt yet. That is something that I'm working on still, but I think we're still trying to validate the idea. And since we're pivoting, trying to clean that up a bit and making sure, like I said, like what are we promising to the users, or what value are they getting, and making that
Hmm.
clear as possible. So if we're still changing,
Yeah.
updating things, right, then there might be confused. So like I said, we need to get it to a state where, okay, it's clear what exactly they're going to be getting, and not in the middle of the building process that where we're at right now, if that makes
Oh,
sense.
yeah, that does make sense. Does this mean you're not going full on with like marketing? Because I believe with marketing, you have like a clear message, this is what we're selling and this is how we're going about it. Does that mean marketing isn't on like full throttle at the moment?
Not right now, not right, yeah, not at this moment, because like I said, we're still iterating on it, right? I think the Twitter posts or YouTube videos, right? They're just to see if people are engaging with it, like proof of concept, right? Seeing if
Hmm.
people are signing up, or if they're taking a look at the page. If we did all this, right, and or if we spent, let's say, like 6 to 12 months building it out and not doing this like small step of, okay, we have an MVP, let's test it, right? If we want to get the
Hmm.
if we spent longer time building like the perfect MVP, what we think, right? And then we post
Hmm.
about it and no one's engaging with it, what happened? We just lost 6 months to 12 months of
Yeah.
building a product for that no one's going to use. So we wanted to, yeah, that's why I think that's a good thing to have an MVP, right? To see if it's um somewhat viable and somewhat
Yeah.
profitable. And then if it is, which we saw a little bit, right? Then okay, let's start iterating on it. And the marketing, I'm personally still learning about it, right? We haven't done any like ads or any I think it's Facebook ads or Google ads, or I'm like it's
Yeah.
very new. But yeah, because our main audience and our main users are on Twitter and his
Huh.
platform or his channel, because we're mainly targeting developers,
Yeah.
which that's why we're not marketing on like LinkedIn necessarily, or other
Yeah.
platforms, because our users are not there. So it depends on where your users are. Is
Yeah.
a
I was going to ask about like, because I see folks with, especially like indie hackers on TikTok, there's billions of folks there and billions of impressions there. That's not something you've considered at all, like
No,
going
not
on
at the time,
TikTok.
because the thing is like we have limited time too. Like if you're trying to do
Yeah.
everything, that's the thing. Like time is so important. And prioritizing well is the most important thing, which I think I've read a couple articles where people talk about that. Like if you want to get something done, you have to get rid of all the things that are preventing you from that. Like really think about, is
Yeah.
what I'm working on actually getting to where I need to go, or like the goal that I'm trying to reach? If it's not, okay, then you need to be working on the item that is, you know,
Yeah.
we're still working on making the product great. So then I think
Yeah.
it would spread through organically rather than forcing it down people's throat when it's not really ready yet.
Yeah.
Is what I'm on all of this is like assumption,
Hmm.
and hypothesis, a light of like, guessing what works and what doesn't. Mainly because the
Yeah.
lack of because I haven't done this before. And I think it's learning as you go and having like a little bit
Hmm.
of humility at the same time, and learning
Yeah.
and learning, definitely learning, which is what makes it
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. So learning as you go, right? And building along the way. Do you have some sort of like product roadmap? Do you think about like product management? And I mean, you're in the middle of like a pivot. Did you have to think about what that looks like, what a future state would look like? Do all of the let's speak to our users, understand what they want, and then we could have like a product vision or product strategy, not necessarily writing code, but thinking about the product holistically. So is this something you consider, or this is like, let's just build something first, like get someplace using like your own gut feelings and your personal experience, or as you said, you want to build something you can use consistently internally. So is that, do you do that, or it's like, okay, we'll try to do product management since we have some validation already?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think since we're both so I think when I planning is very important. But you don't want to spend too much time planning, because then you're, like I said, time, right? If you're so focused on,
Yeah.
oh, is this gonna work, is that gonna work, it's more, okay, let's add this feature, let's see if people use it, and if they don't, then we could remove it. It is
Yeah.
more, that makes it sound like we're not planning. It is right now, I think, more instinctual, because we are still
Yeah.
building it, and we're using, I guess, our own, like you said, experience, and see, okay, this would be
Yeah.
nice if we had this. Let's make a product that we would want, that we would use on a
Yeah.
daily. That's our mentality right now, I feel like.
Huh.
And then as we get more users, and because people also send us emails, oh, like, it would be nice if you did this, or they also tell us if we have any bugs in our platform as well, which is helpful.
Wow, that's nice.
Yeah, because we could, because yeah, going back to like building fast, and breaking
Yeah.
fast. um
So that's
but
interesting to hear that folks, reach out with emails to say something's wrong with your platform. Did you
yeah.
intentionally facilitate that somehow, put it someplace in the app to ask for feedback, or this is just all organic and everyone loves Project Planner, the AI?
I wouldn't say that necessarily. So I'll share with you a story. So before I share the story, let me yeah, for them we have like a support link on the bottom. So in our footer we say, if you need any support, or if you need to submit something like a ticket or whatever, or issue, then you can send it to our email, and people do that.
Us, the support
Um
team, right?
huh?
They can reach out to the support
The
team.
support team, exactly. And in the signature it says, yeah, project man planner AI support team, which is just
Yeah.
me and him. But
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, to answer in terms of feedback, so we got our users. What we did is we took the emails of the paying
Hmm.
users, and create a feedback form that we emailed to each one, saying like, thank you for adopting our platform. Can you like provide us some feedback and like what you think of the platform so far, and like rate, we ask, oh, like, what would you rate it out of 10? What features were useful, specifically when we're using only the plan,
Hmm.
like what sections of the plan were useful, like were the icons useful, were the like overview of what the project you're building is useful, and
Yeah.
I sent like about like 60 emails and only got response from two people, and they said, it's not that useful yet, but they didn't
That's
give it like the
3%.
greatest ratings. Yeah. But and they told us what sections were and weren't useful, which was helpful. So I think also realizing when you send emails to people, I think it's good to incentivize them on why they should fill, because everybody's time is precious. I think that's the mentality you have
Yeah.
to think, right? When you're creating a product, why would someone want to use your product? Is it going to save them
Right.
time? Is it going to provide them value that they don't have already? I think that's the core of what
Yeah.
most products do. Um,
Hmm.
and yeah, so getting that feedback, okay, we got not that many responses back, and the responses that we did get back were not the
Yeah.
it was great insight, right, of what we need to work on.
Yeah.
um so yeah, trying to figure out how to get, I think user feedback is the most important. Like, is it
Yeah.
engaging with comments on Twitter? Is it like personally reaching out to them? Is it asking fellow indie hackers, or people that are doing the same thing about, oh, I have this product, I'm in this position, did you ever face this before? And using your
Hmm.
network and seeing what other people did, right? Because I think that's the
Yeah.
quickest way you could figure out like what to do to
Yeah.
like get a better
That
engagement.
definitely does make sense. And speaking of network and community, have you found it beneficial to, you know, meet with or network with other indie hackers and be in communities? What does that whole sphere look like? Do you get a lot of support from that? And how easy is it to be a part of such like indie hacking communities and network of like-minded people?
Yeah, I think generally the community is pretty supportive. I think when,
Hmm.
for me, like I started becoming more active on Twitter X the last year, throughout,
Yeah.
and that's been a learning curve in its own. I think social media, but I started following people that I saw, okay, I really like their content, and that's something that I would want. And also engaging and commenting on whatever they post, because I think that's a thing that not a lot of people do, is like comments on other people's posts. And I think
Yeah.
once you do, then they, oh, you're like, oh yeah, that person has been commenting on my posts, and then I
Yeah.
usually DM them if their DMs are open. I'm like, hey, my name is Hosna. I really enjoy. Thank you for the content that you create. It's been really useful, and I hope to do something like that in the future. Some introductory things that show like why what they're doing is
Yeah.
like helpful or beneficial or useful or inspirational, whatever to
Hmm.
you. So once you
Yeah.
get that in, then you could and then you start building your own thing, and then they see, oh, like this person's also, then that's how you build that connection. And that's what I've been doing, and
Hmm.
how I've been able to meet a lot of people
And it's been
through X.
working.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's how I met the person that I'm currently working with, Cody, through
Oh,
X. Otherwise I probably wouldn't
yeah.
be working with him, just by
Yeah.
engaging with people's content. And yeah.
I think that's how I DM'd you on X as well.
Yeah,
Was
yeah,
was
exactly.
was I saw a tweet from somewhere and I was like, oh, this looks like a cool project. I signed up and I said, I think you should come on the stream and talk to everyone about all the cool stuff you do building up the project.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
See, like there you go. That's a perfect example right
Yeah.
there. And I get to meet you
So,
and get to meet awesome
huh,
people.
do you think this is like X is the place to be if you're building a certain kind of product, or is it like a place to start? I'm just thinking, of places folks could hang out because the people on Facebook, depending on where they are around the world, um,
Yeah.
should they be on X if they're building for indie hackers and entrepreneurs, or should they be on Reddit or TikTok? Where? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think definitely Twitter, it seems like, and
Hmm.
X, as well as Reddit, but I think Reddit might be a little bit more, people are a little bit more blunt, and it will give it to
Yeah.
you, which can be great, which I think we also need to do and get and see what
Nah,
people
that's still
think.
demoralize you.
It could be, if you're
Be
if
like the
you're
thing
not
is shit. Get
exactly.
a job.
So definitely, I think Twitter and Reddit can be a good place. I'm trying to think if there's any other place. Um, Also, I think uh, a lot of Discord servers,
Hmm.
like I know Next.js, Astro, all of these frameworks have Discord servers. If you're building a specific tech using their framework, you could post it on their Discord, and people can see, oh wow, I could build. This person is using built this amazing product
Yeah,
or project using their framework. Let
yeah,
me try it out. So it's like trying to find the small things that people can relate to, whether it be the tech stack you're using, whether it be
Yeah.
the problem that you're solving, and trying to find where those people are going there. So if you're like building a
Yeah.
product that most of your users are on Facebook, then you would probably, I think it would be good to promote it there, right? But if you're building more like
Yeah.
develop tools for developers or whatnot, I think X is the place. I think X is the place to be. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess, yeah, I would guess so. I would guess so as well. So I just had a thought, a random
Okay,
thought.
yeah, for sure.
When when we're thinking about audiences, I've seen like in random a lot of places where people say first time founders build B2C products, right? And then second time founders build B2B products. So they go after
Mm.
businesses. I wonder if you've thought about businesses because I see Project Planner AI as a tool that could be really beneficial for product managers. As a product manager myself, I usually have like random ideas, and it'd be great if someone could just tell me, "No, this is shit.
Yeah.
You should throw this throw this in the garbage. Do not share with anyone on the team. Just like keep it to yourself." Right. So maybe it could be beneficial to to business teams that are looking to validate maybe some feature or some sub product within like a specific product line. Have you considered business teams, or it's just other developers that are unable to complete side projects?
That is a great point, and I will write that down because I didn't really think of it in that aspect of it. Yeah,
Mm,
that thing that you
mm.
mentioned in the beginning, right? B2C, and then people who have already done before do the B2B. That's really eye opening. Yeah, because I think developers usually build for B2C, right? Or
Yeah,
people or side projects, right? It's usually B2C. You
yeah,
don't really think that much about B2B. So I guess that comes with experience. But more
yeah,
knowledge and but yeah. I hmm yeah, I
yeah.
didn't really
Because
think about
I mean I see like up until July, I was a product manager, a full-time technical product manager, and I would occasionally have like random ideas for the product or some vertical I want to experiment with. With V0 by Vercel, I can
yeah.
sketch it out, right? Um, I can put up like mocks, like Draw and some other tool. But it'd be nice for somebody to critique my idea and say, no, this is shit, or this other tool has this
Before you tell the
features.
team or before you tell the team,
Yeah,
okay, we're good. Oh, I see what you mean. Okay.
yeah. Before I say it to anyone, before I present it. So something that would help me conduct some SWOT analysis,
Ooh.
or, look at the fact that this idea is viable and I could share it with the team, or I could even invest time because there are a lot of, parallel streams in motion, right? And sometimes
Yeah.
you're looking for an idea that could be a breakthrough, and you're looking at multiple as well. That it could also be good to use it in prioritizing all the different ideas that we have, right? To say, okay, I think I'm going to go with this one first, and this one next, and this one third. Um, that could also be great. And the funny thing with B2B product, or if this is a B2B product, is that product teams, they always have like features and extensions of the product they need to iterate on, right? So you would get a lot higher retention than if it was an indie developer that has one idea per month, or
Yeah.
maybe every 6 months they have to see to the end and then they come back again. So that would be like you'd have a retention issue with independent like indie hackers. But
Yeah.
in product teams, you could get a bit more retention. And this is just my thoughts from what I would what I would use it for personally. So I guess you have product feedback now. How many credits are you
Definitely. No,
offering?
yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, that the feature that you mentioned, yeah, checking if that feature would be useful or how likely. I'm trying to see how, like, technically how would you like how would we determine that
Yeah,
which is yeah, the
yeah.
the
Well, I guess you'd speak to a bunch of product managers there and see if that's even a
yeah,
problem. If that's a problem they have.
because
ICs, so independent contributors,
yeah.
are probably like a great like sect to talk to, right? Because they have to like do stuff on their own and then present something to the team. or
Hmm.
present like a plan to the team and then get started. So maybe that could also they could be like great group to talk to.
Yeah, definitely. And if you don't mind me asking, so in terms of that, right? How does it work as a you said you were a project manager or a project team lead?
Like a product manager.
Project manager, right? Would
Yeah.
you do like A/B testing where if you had like multiple ideas, you're like, okay, you guys work on this. We think we both can be successful. We'll do like A/B
Hmm.
testing, because yeah. Or would you need that piece of software to tell you, okay, out of these ideas, these ones are good, and then these are the ones that we're gonna be A/B testing, or I don't
Yeah.
know.
I could use an example scenario. So one of the things I worked on in last days at where I used to work was, or at least major thing I worked on was the onboarding flow, right? And with onboarding, personally, I have a belief that the best form of onboarding is no onboarding, right? So take off anything you want to put as onboarding, just put the product out first. But then
Yeah.
this again depends on the complexity of the product and the different parts and how it functions, right? So I had to test like, different ways onboarding could go. And these tests are expensive, right? You'd have to use like A/B testing tools to activate a part of like a new onboarding workflow to a certain segment of users and then test which one performs better. But even to test, an engineer and a designer must have come up with something, right? That you
Hmm.
would have to, they would have to develop, then you can test. It would be great if I could see this is how complex this product is. This is the domain of this product. This is what users expect, right? So this is what onboarding could look like. And this is a version one for like onboarding. This is what other products, similar products have for onboarding, right? And maybe sentiment around that on what has worked. So if I see like a popular product similar to ours has like a certain kind of onboarding, right? And two or three other products that are similar have like the same kind of onboarding, maybe they've all seen something that I do not see, but I can't know what I do not know. So I don't know what onboarding they have, right? But the tool could
Mm.
tell me, um here's what onboarding could look like for this particular product, for these particular users. So for developers, this is what onboarding should look like, right? And these are
Yeah.
some of the features you want to consider. You shouldn't bother collecting maybe user information during onboarding, stuff like that. That would be great. That would be it would save me a lot of time
Yeah.
upstream thinking about, the product direction. Also, because in modern product teams, I think the product manager is expected to have a lot of like domain expertise, right? They're expected to know how, like, say what should be built, right?
Yeah.
Engineers say how it's going to be built, right?
Yeah.
But you
Yeah.
define like what exactly, even though you probably do not have any experience. It could be a fintech product, but you never come across any, financial services product in your life, right? So how would that look like? How would it look like within specific domains, transport, booking? The product manager, I've been in like e-commerce sector all throughout my career as a product manager. If I'm thrown into like a fintech setup, I'm still a product manager, but I probably would be like lost. I could be a great product manager, but I need to figure stuff out within that space. So maybe a tool that could help speed up that process, tell me what's out there, what's best practices,
Yeah.
and guess how you could prototype it, probably would do great.
Definitely. Ooh, okay. We'll keep
Yeah.
that in mind. And if
Yeah.
you don't,
Talk to other product managers.
we'll give you a cut if we end up implementing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be happy.
You won't complain.
I won't
Um,
complain at all.
oh yeah, I
Definitely
was
will
gonna
not
ask
complain.
you, were you originally a developer that transitioned to being a product? How was that like? And what
Yeah.
things did you do to help you?
Oh, yeah. That's a very funny. It's an interesting transition because I
Journey? I would
started
love
out
to
as
hear
a
it. Yeah.
I started out as a self-taught developer, right? Building, learning like React, JavaScript, building stuff, algorithms, all that stuff. Um, and then I figured I like writing, so I did a lot of technical writing. writing about all the stuff I learned, and did some developer advocacy along the way, a lot of public speaking, community building, all that stuff. Then I figured I wanted to contribute more to product development. So as a developer advocate, um, I would just give feedback to the product team, and they would either say, "Yeah, this is great," or they would be like, "Yeah, peace, we're going to implement it," but they actually never do.
Yeah.
So I took up a job as a product manager to build a product, and yeah, that's how I started out as a product manager, and I just figured out stuff along the way. But obviously, as a product manager, I'm applying all the skills I get from being a developer advocate and listening to developers and their problems and synthesizing all that to transform them into like items in the backlog, getting buy-in from stakeholders, right? Stuff I would do as a developer advocate normally, transferring
Yeah.
that to the product. And
Oh,
because I
yeah.
could write code as well, I was a technical product manager. So in some cases, I could better estimate how long a task is going
Mm.
to take.
Take,
So I
yeah.
call bullshit. If,
Yeah.
if an engineer says this thing is going to take a week, I'm like, hell no, it's not possible. We just want to move these things, like we want to move pixels on the page. It shouldn't take
Yeah.
that long. And sometimes I like to work at startups. So at startups too, as a product manager, you could, and if you can code, yeah, just take up one of the tasks, build out the payment module, um, build out some experience. You could also like test stuff better. So yeah, I did a mix of like engineering, product management. I did product management for the last 4 years, and then um, yeah, I decided to build something, like build a product, a business after.
Yeah. Which is Hack Mamba or
Yeah, which is Hackmamba. And Hackmamba is a technical content agency. We help software
yeah.
teams write better documentation and better blog posts and articles to engage developers or sell. That's what we do in one sentence.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. I checked
Yeah.
out your website and I was like, "Oh, this is awesome." I
Yeah.
understood everything and loved the landing and
Yeah.
everything. It was understandable.
Yeah, that's great. We try to write decent copy and hopefully we get it right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So speaking of project planner, what's the plan for it? So I mean, you're building side projects. Do you have a plan to like sell it, raise VC funding, bootstrap it? I think
Which
everyone
yeah.
reading them knows like, hey, this is the plan for this thing. They're just going to get it to like $1 million ARR, sell it for 4x multiple piece and retire somewhere or go
Dang.
try something else. Right.
Yeah.
So everyone sort of knows. So what's like the plan for it? And do you like think about this? So this is just you and Cody
Yeah.
hacking it all out and then seeing, where it goes.
Yeah, I think at the moment we're just I don't know how much time or I guess I think we're trying to reach a point where it's like we have a good steady amount of like a monthly recurring revenue, like maybe
Hmm.
uh I don't know how much. I think everybody sets for at least 5K, as a starting point to,
Oh,
that would be a nice, right, goal.
yeah.
um but we haven't really, I think right now we're just so focused on the building aspect of it and getting users and seeing, if we're getting paying users. But that is a great point. Like, at what point would we be like, okay, this is no longer worth working on because we're not getting the return that we're expecting? um which is, I think, important, but we haven't really discussed
Yeah.
because we haven't worked that long on it, and we haven't really
Okay.
reached that point where we're like, okay, we've spent so much time. Maybe I think we'll see how far we could take it in the next month or two, and seeing if
Hmm.
we are if the progress that we're making makes sense, and if we're getting more users or if it's just stagnant. Or if
Okay.
if we realize, oh, there's no value in this, no one really cares about having or wants another project management platform, because I know a lot of, right, it's weird because there's like the indie hacker mentality, or there's
Hmm.
like the long term entrepreneur mentality where you believe in an idea so much that you don't care how
Yeah.
long it's going to take for it to be successful, or like you said, right, however much it's worth, right? If it's worth
Yeah.
$1 million, this is perfect, I'm just going to sell it, you know. Whereas with the indie hacker, I think it's a little bit different, right? It's you
Yeah.
see if a product's working, you get it to a good enough place where makes a good amount of MRR or ARR, and then you go work on the next project to then, which then everything adds up to be a lot, right? That you create a multiple different side projects that ends up
Hmm.
making you a lot of revenue from different sources,
Yeah.
um, which has been, which I don't know which one is right or which one is
Yeah.
wrong.
Yeah. I guess there isn't like any right answer. I usually think there are crossroads folks building stuff get to.
Right,
Yeah.
the
At like
crossroads.
yeah. At like five K MRR, that's when sharing, monthly revenue starts to make sense on Twitter, right? People started listening
Yeah,
to what you have to say after
say,
5K, after
yeah,
5K.
exactly.
And anything below 5K, everyone is like, yeah, just grinding it out. Folks probably do not listen. And then when the MRR continues to like 50K,
Increase, yeah,
that's when folks have two decisions. Do they want to keep sharing this MRR and actually get serious with building a business, or they want to continue and be as transparent like Levels does? So typically, I followed projects that would share MRRs like every week, and then
yeah.
once they get to like really good MRRs, yeah, they're like, peace. We're not motivating anyone this time around. We need to get like VC funding, or we need to sell this thing and
Yeah,
move on to the next thing.
definitely. Yeah. I'm not the biggest fan of VC funding because it's like, okay, if your product is, if you have a product that can reach a wide audience and it makes sense for
Hmm.
VC funding, because I always ask the question, okay, once you get millions of dollars in funding, like why do most startups fail, right? I think most of the time, because I worked at a startup before and I saw it firsthand, and it failed, and I had to leave the company. I saw they got
Yeah.
money and funding, but they didn't use it wisely. They were using it on things that, like I said, were not the priority of like things that are, whether it be like choosing a warehouse that has a high rent and we're not even using the warehouse that much, you know. And it's like,
Wow.
so I have a lot of stories from
Yeah.
personal experiences. So I think before like raising any money, making sure that you have a product that you think, if I raise this money, I'm able to make that money back, and
Yeah.
there's a longevity to it if you're going in that
Yeah.
direction, right? Whereas with, I think, indie hacking, it's more, um it's a different, I think it's different because it's very
Hmm.
niche. You're only targeting specific users, I think. I'm not sure, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's your
I
opinion?
totally agree, with raising VC money. I think that was like raising VC money of like 2, 3 years ago. From last year to now, I don't think anyone is getting VC money to go buy like empty warehouses. That was like, I think I see it's called what, high or zero interest rate phenomenon. Yeah.
Okay.
So when interest rates were at zero, that's
Yeah.
when everyone had a lot of money. But now people are even struggling to get VC funding that way.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm also not a big fan of like VC money because I don't like to be in debt. I want to
Yeah.
own, I want to
Same.
enjoy holidays. I don't like I don't like debt. I know it's great, if you find like the right VCs and you want to scale, funding from VC could be the difference between $1 million company and $1 billion company. That's
A
great.
hundred percent. Yeah. If it makes
Yeah.
sense to, right? If it makes sense to, and
Hmm.
if you feel like you're not going at a faster pace and you think money will help
Yeah.
solve that, then of course that makes more
Hmm.
sense, right? But I think it depends on your
Yeah.
situation. If you don't even
Yeah.
have a product, a lot of people I know, they try to get VC funding and they only have an
Hmm.
idea. They're just trying to sell the idea, right? We need the money to
Yeah.
implement the idea. Um
Hmm.
for me, I don't know. I think that's a little bit sketchy. It's like, go, I would
Yeah.
want something tangible, and already proved before I would give
Hmm.
you money or feel good about accepting money, you know?
Yeah, that's true. It's also, I think I share a similar mentality, and I feel like the only reason one of the reasons I would say VC funding is also the pressure. Some of
Yeah.
us we only perform under like intense pressure. So when you
Yeah.
feel like, yeah, you have to you have to show proof. Like you need to,
Mm,
you've got to send that investor email at the end of the month, like
mm-hmm.
the updates to show folks that yeah, you're actually doing what you say you're going to do. That's the only reason why I'd say I think I would like VC money, and also the fact that you have like timelines and you have milestones
Yeah,
you want to meet. With indie hacking, you have to be personally motivated,
yeah,
right? And
definitely.
if you made money somewhere else and you have like a lot of money already, it's, sometimes motivation can be a bit difficult. You want to be somewhere on the beach in Portugal, chilling or being like Thailand, hanging out, not slugging it out and trying to ship the next feature. But
Yeah,
yeah, different
yeah.
folks with different motivation.
Hmm.
I think we're coming up on time now. Is there anything else you want to say? I think we're over time actually. This got
Oh,
really
dang.
fun.
Well, no, I don't have anything else to say. I really enjoyed talking to you, and the time flew by, and I learned a lot,
Yeah,
and so I really appreciate it. Um, yeah, I guess keep you can follow me. I don't know on like Twitter or whatever. I could leave
yeah,
my thing. Yeah, I'm everything at H Qasmei, LinkedIn, Twitter,
yeah,
YouTube. I also make YouTube videos, and that's how I'll also yeah. Just I think for any developer that's trying to put themselves out there, I think building. I know building in public is really helpful. Um, sharing whatever you're building with the people, and you would be surprised about the people that you meet and the things that you learn, because I think everybody has something to share, which is very important.
yeah,
But yeah. Yes.
yeah. Thank you very much. So at H Qasmei, you can find you everywhere on Twitter, which it seems like especially. Um,
Yes. Yeah.
and if you're listening to the stream and you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe button so I can feed my family members someday with money from from YouTube probably. But it was really fun talking to you, Hosna. And I hope you come back to the stream later and tell us how you've disrupted linear and how my idea has paid you billions. Probably.
Yes. Uh-huh. Will do.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. But until then, let's all have a wonderful evening and
Thank
have a
you.
nice day,
Bye.
Hosna. Bye.